Double J. I don't like my haircut. So I'm currently late for Smexy Sunday because the recording I did this morning didn't want to work. So I gotta redo the whole thing, and I don't like. I feel naked without my full beard. I only have a partial beard. Oh shit. I do like my short hair though. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, my short hair is what I loved as a kid, and I'm back to short hair. I swear to God, after I lose weight, I'll look much better. I have to change. I have to change. God, I'm actually really upset about the two chins. You can't really see it as well with the bigger beard, but now you can see it so easily. Anyways, so yeah, this is technically episode 2 of Smexy Sunday. And what a better time than to show off the guns, which are mostly flap guns. My guns are made of rubber. Surface. Actually, believe it or not, I'm very strong. I have a lot of muscle. But when it comes to actually being, like, appearance muscle, no, it's all flat, but you're fat. You're boo. Bleh. Anyways, I do have to unzip that a bit because it's choking me. Yeah, so I have to redo the episode from this morning because apparently I didn't want to record fully. It was like an hour long, so let's see if I can shorten it this time. Before I start, I wanted to say that yes, I am losing weight. I did mention that, but I wanted to go into detail about it. Jess and I are currently on even though Jess doesn't have to lose weight because she can eat whatever the heck she wants and not gain weight like a freaking badass. If you guys don't know, I am currently 352 pounds, way overweight, and I have figured out my body mass index. I don't remember what the number was, but from what I was told, it was like 40% muscle and 60% fat, which apparently is really good for someone who looks like it's just all fat. Anyways, by the way, I did laundry at my parents' house today because it's Sunday and I always go to my parents' house, but I did laundry at their place. And it was hysterical because as soon as this was done drying, I immediately put it on. I'm like, "Hey, Mom, welcome to the gun show." And she goes, "Can I get my refund?" I'm like, "Screw you!" She's so clever. Yeah, let's hope I can get through this episode before my phone dies because it's at 29%. So yeah, Smexy Sunday, episode 2 with the new look. Yeah. I need to get a fedora again. I miss the fedoras. I have no fedoras. I lost all my damn fedoras. By the way, this is 18 and up, so do not watch if you are not 18. I do not know how to change the settings on videos on mobile, so, well, yikes. I do know that I can label it as 18 plus, which is what I have to do now, because I don't know how to actually make it the 18 plus filter, but whatever. So I'm going to redo this episode as quick as possible, because it was an hour earlier. I'm trying to do like 30-minute episodes, but it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. What the heck? My teeth are really out of line. I don't go to the dentist much, because I don't really... God, now all I can focus on is my teeth. Anyways, I don't go to the dentist much, because I never really have to. And this is the thing, like, also I don't have a dentist right now, so that sucks. I do have to get a new freaking dentist. Actually, last time I went to a dentist was like 3 months ago, so I guess it's the normal amount of time between appointments. I should have an appointment in like a month or so, but I don't have a dentist right now, so whatever. Because they killed me. They literally stabbed me, by the way. They stabbed... Come on, there we go. That's better. Recliner mode activate. Comfy. Anyways, so yeah, I want to get into the actual episode. So Smexy Sunday, episode 2, 18 plus, yada yada yada. So this episode is going to be specifically, took me like 10 minutes to figure out what I was going to talk about in the first recording, but because I was sick this morning, or I wasn't feeling good this morning. I wasn't sick, but I wasn't feeling good. Why does my phone keep going off? My other phone over there somewhere. Smexy Sunday episode 2 will be concerning my most I don't even know what to call it. My best sexual experience with a female. Now, for anyone who does not know, I am bisexual. I have had experiences with both males and females and the middle. So, yeah. I will be talking about that stuff in the future. I will say beforehand, before the episode starts, I'm choking myself too much with this thing. Alright, screw it. I'm gonna go sit down in an actual chair. Yeah, there we go. I will state if it involves anything to do with any sort of homosexual nature. But for the most part, it'll mostly concern the female things, and if it does concern male, then I'll mention it. Not like it matters much. What? I've only been... Oh, God, that's a lot of Twitter notifications. Moving on. Yikes, it's a lot of Twitter. I have to turn off that phone. No, turn down the audio. There we go, not up. Alright, so my best sexual experience was, honestly, one of the weirdest ones for me. Now, this is why. So, this all started when I was in... It was somewhere around the beginning of middle school, so around 6th to 7th grade is when I actually started, when I actually met this person. And I found out later on that she actually lived she was born in England. Was it England? Was it England or France? I think it was France, actually. Damn it, now I don't even remember. God, I gotta go message her. I'm not gonna list names, by the way. In this series, I will never list names. By the way, Jess is not here right now. For some reason, she's still not home, which is stupid because she's supposed to be back at 10:30. Well, it's only 10:20, so... anyways, I will never list names of people unless I have their permission to do so, and I don't ask their permission. Unless they specifically ask me to include them, I will not include their actual names. So, yeah. But yeah, so... my first... not my first, but like my best sexual experience was with a girl who I met in 6th or 7th grade. And by the way, I never say an exact year because honestly I never remember correctly, and I don't want to falsify it by saying, oh, well, it was 6th grade, but it was really 7th grade when I met her. I don't know. I just prefer to have like a range because then it's somewhere in there and I'm not technically lying, even though I'm not lying in the first place. You know what that is. But anyways, actually, let me find my recording block. Recording block? Oh, recording block. There you are, recording block. Thank you. Recording block of recording. There we go. Nice little gun show. There we go. Ow. I stabbed myself in the foot. There we go. That's better. Ladies. Anyways, and I found out later on, I didn't know this right away, that she actually was born in, I believe it was France, and then her family moved over to, I believe, originally she said it was New Jersey, because she had family in New Jersey who lived there. Or I guess her parents had family. She was basically still a baby at that point. She had family there in New Jersey, and then it turned out to not really be a good area. And by the way, there are some nice places in New Jersey, but a lot of it is kind of like, it depends on what your definition of nice is. There's some meh spots, there's some okay spots, but there's really no like open areas for the most part. There is like nowhere in New Jersey that is really wide open to kind of raise a child in. Like, that's why her parents eventually chose Rochester, because they had friends, actually, in Rochester, who recommended it because it has a lot of open spaces and large land and all that. And, it's more open for raising a child. You can do a lot more with your child in bigger areas and all that, so they figured it'd be the best choice. So, she ended up going to my middle school, and at first, like, I didn't really talk to her much, because she was honestly, like, she was way too good for me. Like, if you're, okay, let's say you're a kid in middle school, you don't really decide, like, oh, well, they're cool enough to talk to. In middle school, if you were like me, and by the way, I was bullied ever since 1st grade up till 11th grade, and even 12th grade I was bullied a little bit, but it wasn't much. When you were first getting bullied in school, you choose to kind of avoid certain people who are new, unless they come to you first in a kind fashion. That was just how I was, at least. So I ended up kind of just like knowing who she was and seeing her around, but never really got to know her. And by the way, I went to Bay Trail Middle School, which was like the Penfield Middle School, basically. It was a nice middle school. It was really cool because we had a bunch of my friends there. It was a big school. I remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On the stairs like an idiot. That's probably my best memory. After school, we'd play Yu-Gi-Oh! On the actual steps of stairs that would go up to the second floor, and that was so stupid of us, because people would have to come down every now and then, because it was after school, everyone was already home. But if clubs were there, they would come down the stairs, and they would be like, sorry guys, we gotta get through, and they would step on our cards and all that. Yada, whatever. So this girl, who I almost named for some stupid reason, I always do this with people, she was way too good. She was elegant. I mean, I call it elegant. She was just she minded her own business, basically. She didn't really go and be like a normal kid for the most part. She was very nice, very kind, but she was also very timid when it came to making friends, so it kind of took her a while to kind of gain the courage to come and meet my friends, which, ow, sorry, I have a scratch on my arm. Basically, the only reason why I ever met her, like, in person, why I actually talked to her, and why I became part of her, well, why she became part of my friend group, I should say, is because she knew one of my friends who was female. What the heck? I actually have a... That's cool. Anyways, she knew one of my friends who was female at the time, and I don't remember what friend it was, to be honest. I had, like, 3 female friends back then, and I was just like, yeah, new record. I was just proud that I had girlfriends, not girlfriends, because at that time I was like, I don't really care about that. But I was like, I know girlfriends. It turned out where they kind of introduced me to her as well as some of my other friends from the group, and she kind of became part of that little group for middle school. By the way, once beginning of 8th grade came around was when I actually lost my virginity. So it was like a few years before that, like not by much. But what happened was she eventually became friends with us probably around, I'm going to say middle of 7th grade. It was like probably a year after she really moved in, and she didn't move in at the beginning of 6th grade, I know that. She moved in somewhere between 6th and 7th grade, so it was less than a year after she had kind of joined the school and all that. And by the way, most of my friends didn't even know that she was from France, except for the one who introduced me to her, by the way. And I keep almost thinking it's England for some stupid reason. But it's not. It's France. I don't know why. But this is the thing, is even when she was younger, I couldn't help but have to look away whenever she would look at me. It was just scary to me because, like I said, she was too good for me. And it wasn't like romantically at all. It was just like she was way too cool, but in like a kind and caring sense. But by the way, back then I found very cool. Around the end of middle school, like 8th grade, kind of like you're done with middle school kind of era, like the final hurrah or whatever. She got like really close to me specifically because we had common interests. We grew up both on the same kind of lifestyle. I grew up on a farm. She grew up on a farm. Same kind of lifestyle, and we was actually our first like basically common, like that was our first thing we talked about that we both knew something about. So I just thought that was funny. We both talked about farms, and that was about it for like the first couple months. Also, I remember this specifically. This was like the first like cutesy romantic time I ever had with her. Was when I said that I actually used to drive tractors. By the way, I actually used to drive tractors around the farm because you can do that without a license, as long as you're doing farm work or like transporting stuff. And by the way, you can even drive them on the road. You can, in my area where I grew up, you could drive tractors on the road as long as you had permission from any people on the street, which by the way, we all kind of did it. So there was like this mutual, like anyone can drive a tractor anywhere on the street. So I could drive all the way up and down the street with my dad's tractor, really, but yet I still refuse to drive the car. But I remember telling her that, and she's like, would you ever take me on a ride on the tractor? I'm like, sure, it'd be fun. And that was like the cutest thing I think we did as kids. Which, by the way, we were more like, I don't know how old I was at the time, technically. Would have had to be like before teenagers, wouldn't it? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that would have been around teenager times. I don't even remember. By the way, it's been so long since I've been in school in general, so I don't remember how old I was when I graduated. It was either 18 or 19, or 17 or 18. Oh my god, no, I don't remember. Oh god. But anyways, so we kind of became close friends, and once we graduated middle school and went into high school, she kind of had this thing where this is when Teen Tuesday would happen. We would go to the Penfield Library every Tuesday after school, basically. And it was interesting because she was always part of that group. She would always come over, and I just want to point out that she wasn't exactly very social with people there, because Teen Tuesday was full of people that were all from the school. Like, there were teens who were all over the high school, and we never really got to talk too much, except for in Teen Tuesday. A lot of them were friends of friends, but that was about it. We never really got, especially me, I never really got close to a lot of them. The only time I really got close was when I got close to beating them in Smash Bros. That's about it. But what happened basically was, in Teen Tuesday, we had gone there for, I think, 4 or 5 months of, like, the first year of high school. And, then we started to get, like, really close, like, and I called her my bestie, which nowadays I have a new bestie because I haven't actually talked to this girl in a while, which is kind of sad. I just don't know how to reach her because she doesn't have Facebook. Well, last I knew, she didn't have Facebook. She had Twitter, and when she told me her Twitter, I didn't have Twitter. So, I've had Twitter for, like, maybe 2 years, it's been a year, barely a year, since I made my first Twitter account, which was mainly for RP, like, roleplay. It helped me with my writing, okay? I'll get into that in a future topic, okay? Actually, that would be a good topic to get into on these videos. Next Sunday, remind me. But we got really close, and I called her my bestie, and she called me her bestie for Resty, and we got really, like, playful towards each other, and it was just kind of like us, like, kid flirting, as I call it, where it's, like, just the cutesy stuff, but it could be seen as flirting if you were older and you knew what you were doing. And in high school, you should know about it, but honestly, we were too innocent. I mean, I was a pervert, by the way. I was a pervert any age after 9th grade. 9th grade is where I, like, became full-fledged pervert. Everything else before that was, like, meh, I don't really care. I hit puberty late, basically. Which is why I could do the marshmallow voice from Annoying Orange up until, like, beginning of 9th grade. I can't do that voice anymore, though. Stop Twitter. Go away. Don't care. Why should I need that tweet? Crap. Oh well. But basically, as we got older and we started to continue to go to Teen Tuesday, we started doing this thing where we would eventually start asking each other questions, and it was supposed to be, like, as personal as possible. It never really got sexual at first, but we would ask questions basically just to get close to the other person even more. And it was personal questions about, like, why don't you, like, for me, I hate horror, like, books. I used to love horror movies because they were just kind of corny to me. They were cheesy. But when it came to books, I could not handle horror books. And she asked why that was. And I just told her basically it was because when I have very active imagination, and when I read something, I actually do worse than when I have to see it on screen. My brain forces an image that is way worse than the screen actually shows. So it was kind of odd, but things like that, just kind of like about our fears or, like, our hopes and dreams or who we are as a person or our past with certain things. And when I finally went full-fledged pervert in around middle of 9th grade, it was probably when this happened, it was, like, right as soon as I became a full-fledged pervert, like, maybe within weeks of me hitting puberty for the first time. I ended up asking, as my question, I asked, are you a virgin? And I will point out, she's very clever with her questions, because I'll explain that in a second. Basically, and I explained, no, I lost my virginity, I never said what her answer was. Okay, her answer was, sorta, and I go, what do you mean sorta? She's like, well, I mean, I lost my virginity, but this is the thing, she was very shy. So, she panicked when I asked that. She was very timid when it came to anything to do with relationships, just because she didn't like talking about it for the most part. And that's why I never really asked about it, but for some reason, perverts just gotta be nosy and do all that stupid stuff. Especially, like, teenagers. Like, when you hit that age, oh my god, it's pouring out. Holy crap. The skies are weeping from my perversion. Anyways, holy crap. Shut up, wind. Anyways, so I ended up basically asking her that. She said, no, I kinda, and I go, what do you mean kinda? She goes, I lost my virginity, because she just, like, went into shock, was like, yeah, kind of, like, she wasn't a virgin. But this is the thing, when she asked questions, I want to get in, this is why I went ahead, because I accidentally was like, I went ahead of myself and said this is why she's clever. When she asks questions, she's very clever. She won't ask a question directly, she'll ask something that's beyond that question. So in other words, she asked me, when did I lose my virginity? So that is not only asking if I'm a virgin, but it's also asking if I am if I'm not a virgin, when I lost my virginity. And that was very clever, to be honest. That was like her in general with her questions. It would basically answer 2 questions at once, which was really kind of efficient. For me, it was just stupid stuff. And I responded with, I kind of lost my virginity in 8th grade. Or it was like 2 years ago or whatever was when I said that. Even though I don't think it was 2 years technically. Because I'm pretty sure it was 7th or 8th grade when I lost my virginity. But it must have been 7th grade. Because I told her it was 2 years ago. I remember my answer specifically. Why am I so stupid when it comes to remembering dates? Am I right, ladies? I never remember a date. I just remember plums. Anyways, but what happened? By the way, there's no ladies watching this, I hope. Hopefully not my mom. Oh God, she watches my videos. I keep forgetting about that. I answered, yeah, I lost my virginity like 2 years ago, and she responded with, oh, okay. And we kind of just moved on. And a few days later, as a complete idiot, I wanted to take things further and asked, what size breasts are you? Now, I want to point out, she was beautiful. This girl had long blonde hair. She had size D breasts, which, by the way, I didn't exactly care about back then. I was just kind of curious as a pervert. Like, it's something a teen would ask, you know? It's just stupid stuff. And her figure was, like, she was thin to the point where it almost looked like she ate salad all day long, which is not healthy. Don't ever do that. But it was like she never really looked like she ate a lot, and she did eat quite a bit compared to like some of my friends. I ate way more than her, trust me. I've always eaten more than people. But overall, she was just like, she was what I would probably call drop dead gorgeous, because every time I saw her, I'd just like stop. I'd be like, please let me drop dead. No, I'm kidding. It's more like, please don't let me drop dead. Please let me keep looking. But she had some she was pretty thick. She was pretty thick in the thighs. To move on from that. Basically though, I asked her what her breast size was. She said it was D's. And also I made the meme D's nuts, which by the way at that time was like the prime meme to say. It's not anymore really. It's kind of died down. Thank God. And she laughed, and kind of moved on from there. And then later in that day, by the way, at the Penfield Library, there's this little like open section where there's it's kind of like a little cafe area for the most part, but the food is literally from vending machines. And basically what it was they were like these little circular tables that are like the woven pattern, so it's like the wire that's been wrapped around each other. You know what I mean? Like those little circle tables with all the holes in it, because you can just. Yeah, anyways, and then there were like the little stools that are really high and you sit on, and there were vending machines all along the walls on the outside of it, and then there was one glass window there was like a bunch of glass windows that literally, if you're in the parking lot or driving into the library, you can see through those windows. So it was for anyone who was staying at the library, was waiting for a ride, they could look up those windows and know that their parents were there, or that the ride was there. And as a pervert would, I asked, "Hey, can I grow your breasts?" And she immediately, by the way, she doesn't blush. I don't blush much, by the way. I'll get flustered, but I won't blush. For me, it's very hard for me to blush. It's very rare. It has happened, but it is very rare. Just because it doesn't show up on my skin tone. Which is surprising, because I used to be extremely pale. Nowadays, I'm like, meh. Some were pale, some were like... Yeah, I got a bit of a tan, actually, now that I realize it. I don't blush much. Holy crap, it is pouring. I hear it from, like, every window of the house right now, just hitting the window. Anyways, I'm just like... Okay, I want to get this out before midnight, because it is technically Sunday until then, or Sunday, I should say. But I ended up, like, she got really flustered and blushed, and it was very rare to see her blush. She'll get flustered very easily. But this is the thing. Normally when she got flustered, she wouldn't, like panic, like most people would. She'd just look away and, like, and, like, she'd, like, go like this, like she was just thinking. Like, she would just look off to the side like she was thinking about something. And she would, like, stare at one spot, like, concentrate on one specific spot in the room. And, honestly, that was really cute to me. Like, I found it really, really adorable. which, by the way, I call everything cute nowadays. I just realized I call everything cute. Anything that's cool or interesting to me, I call cute. I don't know why. It's cute. It's spelled C-U-C-Y-U-T. Cute. Or kawaii for those who speak Japanese. But she, of course... By the way, we were very close at this point, and we had actually asked other sexual questions in the meantime and all that before the couple weeks passed, where I got to this point. And I asked, basically, this was one of the stupidest things I've ever asked and, like, done, because anyone could have walked by and seen it. And she immediately goes, I mean, if you want to, but be gentle. And I go, okay. And I looked around, I'm like, okay, there's no one around. And then I immediately went and, like, as someone who never really handled large breasts, because everyone I had been with beforehand was either flat-chested or a guy, or at least, not very big breasts compared to, like, D's or double D's for crying out loud. And by the way, Jess has double D's. I found that out the other day. I asked her like a complete idiot. And then she's like, I'll tell you if you make it worth blah blah. I'm like, no. I mean, yes. Of course, she's the whip. Oh, I hate that whip. By the way, I may still have a mark on my leg. Let's just say my outer thigh, because she whips. She has a literal whip collection. Dear God, she gets off on that shit. Oh, I mean, masochist. Maybe I'll like it. But I liked it. No, anyways, moving on. That's for another day. Oh God, it's so rainy out. Rainy, that's not a word. Anyways, it is a word, it's rainy day. It's really that, but it's not used in that context. Anyways, the fridge just made a sound. Oh my God, everything's making sounds. Watch the vent turn on suddenly underneath the table. Anyways, so I went and grabbed her breasts, or one of them, and I heard her yelp. Like, it wasn't a yelp, but it was like a little, like, squeal from, like, surprise, I guess. I don't know what to call it. She was not expecting me to grab so hard, and as someone who was used to not having to grab a large, giant breast like hers, it was pretty awkward. By the way, can I just mention, in high school, having that size breast is, it's rare. Like, I'm not even joking. Most of my friends who have larger breasts developed after they graduated, or like at the last couple of years of high school, or like when they graduated. Which I don't know if that's normally how it happens, but, and by the way, my friends and I do talk about that stuff. We're just stupid like that. But we do it out of, like, stupidness. It's just who we are. But anyways, so she kind of, like, squealed a bit, and I'm like, oh, sorry, what just happened? Like, I almost fell out of my chair, by the way. I, like, threw myself backwards, and since those stool things don't have a back to them, I went flying backwards, and I almost tipped the whole chair over, and it was hilarious, because I caught myself on the table, but it actually really hurt my nail, because at the time I didn't cut my nails very well. I kind of don't. It's kind of a problem of mine. I don't really cut my nails that often. But I ended up, like, putting my hands into the table with all the holes in it, and I caught myself, but it actually broke off part of my nail. I remember that specifically because it hurt like heck, because it was, like, bent, and it would really hurt. God, I should have clipped my nails much more back then. Oof. But anyways, so I'm like, I'm sorry, is everything all right? He goes, it was just a bit rough. And I go, oh, okay, sorry. And I do want to point out, there's a reason why I'm not a freaking dom. I'm a complete sub. Like, there's no dominant part of my body. Actually, believe it or not, I can be a pretty damn good dom in certain circumstances, but not for long. That's the issue. So it's like, I cannot do that stuff. It's so hard for me to be in control of that situation, because I get flustered way too easily when it comes to that stuff. I always say, hush, my virgin heart, even though I'm not a virgin. It's just like, I'm too innocent for that. And that's why I prefer being a sub, because being dominant is not in part of my personality. But anyways, so that's kind of why this next part happened. A few weeks later, in school, by the way, at my locker, which if you guys don't know, I normally didn't use my locker much. I had a backpack. Where's my backpack? Oh, I don't even know if it's here. It is here. Hold on. It is this exact same backpack. I had this since high school. I had my backpack, and I would fill it up with textbooks and everything before I went to class, and I would normally start off, I would literally take everything everywhere, even home with me. So if you guys don't know how high school works, you have lots of textbooks. You should know how high school works in general, at least. But you have like 4 textbooks, depending on what classes you take. And I had 4 textbooks that were massive. So I'd put them in my backpack, along with every folder, binder, and everything else I needed for classes, like notebooks and pencils and all that stuff. I'd always have it in my backpack, which also destroyed my back over time. I actually ended up having a really bad back, because one of my original bag was like a duffel bag, and it was like one strap, so it would pull my back to the side. Not very good. But anyways, I would carry everything in my backpack except for it was my sophomore year of high school. No, it was my junior year of high school. I want to point out, I always mix up junior and sophomore. I don't know why. When I first went into high school, I had actually never really memorized what comes when. Originally, I thought freshman was the above senior, and I was like, it's not? I'm a freshman? Oh. Because it's a freshman. I had never thought about it. I feel like a complete idiot during all of high school. But yeah, so my junior year of high school, I had these classes that were really close by to each other. The original reason why I carried it around a backpack was because my classes were always scattered around the school. Like, every location of the school had one class. So I'd have to go from one end of the school to the other, and then back, and then back, and then back, and back, and back, and then, like, it was a pain in the butt. To have to go to my locker in between, it wasn't worth it. Because the distance was already too far to travel, and I'd already be late to classes unless I sprinted. Which, by the way, was against the rules. You're not supposed to run in the hallways. Monster? I just heard a giant, probably just motorcycle or something outside. That was weird. It sounded like a freaking roar or something. I don't know. I'm hearing things now. Whatever. I don't even know if you guys heard it. You probably should have heard that. It was a motorcycle or something. Hope you guys heard it. If I'm going crazy. Oh no. Anyways, I'm already crazy. What are you talking about? Yeah, silly me. But anyways, the creepy face. What are you doing? I love that creepy face. Speaking of that, I actually have something I'm going to do another video on later on. But anyways, so like at my locker one day, and normally, by the way, when I would go to the way my school worked is you had day 1, day 2, and day 3. And I'm pretty sure it was only 3 days, but I remember it either being 3 or 5. I know high school had 1, and then middle school had another. So it was like one of them had 3 days of different classes, and the other one had 5 days classes. And this is only if I remember correctly. It's been so long since I've been to school. I'm sorry. I'm almost 21, guys. It's been so many years. It's been like 3 years. Not even yet, but still, it's been like 3 years. Anyways, so I never really cared to have around. On certain days, I would go to my locker because certain classes would have a time where I'd have enough time because they'd be right next to each other. So I'd go from this class to my locker to the class right next to that class. You know what I mean? And the thing was, I remember one day, I went to my locker to grab my stuff, and I almost said her name. The girl the French girl who didn't have a French accent. I really wish she had a French accent. That would have been a hot AF. But no, she didn't. Of course, she didn't grow up in France, so I guess it makes sense. She was just born there and then moved. Anyway, so the thing that happened basically was, by the way, I don't even know why she moved, to be honest. I remember her just telling me that her parents chose to move. That was literally it. She doesn't even know, I don't think. At least she didn't back then. If she did, then she didn't tell me about it, which was surprising. She told me everything else about it. Basically, she was at my locker, and I went to go grab my stuff, and this is the most shocking thing that's ever happened to me in high school. I go to open my locker, and she's, like, standing next to it, and I go, so, how's it going? As I'm, like, turning the knob for my combination, which, by the way, if you ever have a locker, I don't remember what number it was, but the combination is 19, left 19, right 24, left 18. That was my locker that year. I still remember it because I had that locker 3 years in a row. Oh, I love that locker. Even though it always got jammed. If it still gets jammed, if you're still at Penfield High School and that is your combination, and the locker gets jammed, oh, I feel you, brother. I feel you. Anyways, that locker was horrible. It was probably because I had too much stuff in it, to be honest, but whatever. But anyway, so I ended up just like kind of trying to make conversation as I was turning the lock, and she just suddenly is like, "Hey, can I do something to you?" I'm like, I mean, I have class, but what is it? And she literally, my kink, My number one kink, my number one freaking kink in anything to do with high school is she pinned me against the locker and kissed my cheek. It wasn't on the lips, but it was my cheek. And I freaked out. I didn't freak out, but I was just like, I was like shocked. I'm like, and I just remember her scampering off, like she was just all happy about it. I'm like, huh? What just happened? And I remember, like, I was really nervous after that to talk to her. I didn't know what was going on, to be honest. I was kind of freaking out. Because that's kind of like, that's me in general. Anything to do with that kind of stuff, I immediately freak out. If I'm not the one making the suggestion, I freak out AF. And this is the funny thing is, whenever I make a suggestion, it's normally a momentary perversion. Like, it's not a long-term perversion kind of thing. I'm not a pervert for a long period of time, which is why it's only like me suggesting something or me doing something out of like just that one moment. With her, it was the exact opposite. She was the shy one. Well, actually, no, I guess it's the same. But she was the shy one, and then suddenly she'd have this dominant moment where it wasn't even perverted. It was just she wanted to do something sexual. And I remember, like, for the next few days, I was panicking, and I didn't know how to talk to her, so I kind of avoided her like an asshole, which I really feel bad about that. If you ever see these videos, please go watch them. Also, I'm not that entertaining, but also, I'm sorry that I abandoned you for that time. I was so confused on what to do. And I remember her just, like, kind of looking over to me, and I'd, like, look away, like, out of, like just being fearful of it. And then I remember, how long am I recording? See, 36 minutes. Cool. Got time. Too bad than last time. And I remember a few days later, it was like that. It was another day of ones where I would go to my locker, and apparently she had been at my locker each day when I didn't go to my locker each day because of the stupid schedule, and she was waiting for me every day, and I felt horrible. I was always during that same period. It wasn't like every period, but it was just like that one period where I was there that one time, and I felt horrible because she didn't know that I carried my backpack around with everything in it. She had seen the backpack and everything, but she never knew that like I never really went to my locker on certain days. It was only like one day out of the every few days that we had schedules. I believe it was one out of every 3 days, if I remember correctly. I still have nightmares of messing up the schedule. I'm not even joking. I have literal nightmares where I'm back in high school, and somehow I'm on the wrong day of the week, like on the schedule, because we did 1 day 2 and day 3. I'm pretty sure it was the 3 days. But like it's a day 1 in my head, like I'm going to a day 1 period or day 1 class, and suddenly I realize, oh, it's day 2. I have to go all the way across the school, and I have these nightmares of like everyone just being like, why the hell are you in our class? Like just staring at me. I'm not joking when I say that's an actual nightmare of mine. One of the very few nightmares that are actually very realistic to me. But anyways, and I remember a few days later, she was waiting at my locker again, and I go to, like, grab my stuff out of my locker, and I'm still trying to, like, not really avoid her, but, like, kind of, like, avoid, like, getting into another scenario like that, and suddenly, I see her friend run away, like, through, like, the crowd of people. First period, or not first period, I think it was 5th period of the day. Was it 5th period? It was right before my lunch, I know that. It was the period before lunch for me, which I believe was 6th period, so I believe it was 5th period. Either way, doesn't matter, random details. Basically, her friend was running off like through all the people, and from what I was told by her friend, she had been asked to stay there with her because she was very nervous that I would not show up, and she didn't want to look like a complete idiot just standing next to my locker. Which, by the way, if you were in my school, you would know I was bullied quite a bit. So anyone who was really near anything to do with me was basically brought into the mix. Which, by the way, I want to point out, if you can bully me all you want, I don't care. I've gotten used to it. Over time, I was like, whatever. You can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. Even if it's true, I'm not going to let it offend me. And suddenly, you go up to my friends and like, you fuck with my friends, you're gonna die, bitch. Like, I will literally stab you. Wait, where's my wooden carved knife thingy? Not done carving. I will stab you. I will stab you, bitch. Like, that's just how I was. Like, you don't touch my friend. You want to mess with them? You want to mess with me? Come on, let's go, fight me. And they were like, whoa, dude, back off. You back off, bitch. Like, and that was just like me in general. You can mess with me, but you mess with my friends, you're going after Mama Bear. And yes, I called myself Mama Bear. I still call myself Mama Bear when it comes to it. And I would literally, if I had to, I'd stab someone with a pencil. I really would, too. I had anger issues back then. I still kind of have anger issues, but they're much better than they used to be. Thank you. Thank you, 15 years of therapy. Anyways. Yeah, I would have stabbed a bitch. I would have done it. I would have cut a bitch. Anyways, moving on from the bitches. I mean, I would never cut a female dog, but when it comes to a person acting like a complete total moron towards my friends and trying to harass them, I would stab them. I would easily stab them. I'd never recommend that, by the way. Never stab anyone. I do not condone it. I'm just saying I most likely would have back then because of my stupid anger. Might even still do it, to be honest, but I don't know. I'd resist. I would resist. Anyway, so she was just waiting there, and I saw her friend run off, and her friend later on approached me and told her about, like, why she was there and everything. And I went to my locker and was like, hey. Like, I was, like, really timid at that point. I'm like, what do I do? 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 And she pushes me against the locker. And this is, like, right after, like, everyone's finally in their classes, by the way. I was just kind of, like, opening my locker. And I open it up, by the way, and then I close it to go, and she pins me against the locker again. And by that point, like, everyone was already in class, because normally it was, like, the last minute of like, everyone getting through the hallways. And, she pins me against the locker a second time, just like the first one. But this time, it's much more rough. She actually pushes me against the locker, rather than just, like, locking me in that position with her arm up against the locker and all that. And this time, she goes full force tongue. Like, this was unexpected for me because I had never really done French kissing. But why French kissing? Anyways, no, she's French. Get it? No, but I had never really French kissed anyone. Like, it was not something I had done before because I didn't think it was interesting. I never really even thought to try it, to be honest. I didn't watch a lot of that stuff on, like, the interwebs that involve it. So I'm like, I'm good. I don't really want to test it because I never really knew it was a thing. And then she just goes full force French kissing me. And I'm just like, oh God, why do I do it? By the way, I thought that was kind of gross, but that kind of turned me on more. Does that make sense? I don't know why. It just makes it makes a little sense to my erection back then, but it doesn't make sense to me now. Just gonna point that out now. But anyways, like, it was full on, like, shock after that. And I just remember her going, that's for ignoring me. And then running away with her hand over her face, like one hand, and she's like running. And she's just like this. She's like, oh God, what have I done? And she runs off. And a few days later, by the way, actually, I think it was the next day, it was Teen Tuesday again. And I go to Teen Tuesday, and she's there, and I'm like immediately like, oh God, what do I freeze. I'm like, what do I do? And I go up to her, I'm like, hey, what was that about? And she goes, I kind of like you. And I go, oh, cool. Yeah, I was still freaking out a bit. And I go, immediately I tell her, so do you want to go out with me? And she's like, to be honest, this is the interesting thing for me. And I found this very attractive back then. I don't know why, but it was very attractive to me because it was like, it was cute to me. Or it was like, it was something that I would not expect even from someone like her who was adorable all the time. Adorable and very seductive in her total dom moments. I'm just going to say that right now. She immediately says, well, I don't really work well with relationships. I work better with one-night stands or just friends with benefits. And I immediately go, oh, fuck, that's hot. I don't say that. I just feel like my head and my little erection did. My little erection. My little erection. Erection in my pocket. No, that's a weird one. Anyways, so I ended up, like, just being like, oh, I mean, we can be friends with benefits. That's fine. I don't care about that. I mean, you're hot. I think you're hot. You're cool. I like you a lot. You're hot and I like you a lot. That'd be cool. I like it. I rhymed, even not on purpose either. And I'm just like, we could try having the smex. And by the way, this is actually something I normally do call sex the smex. I'm not even joking. That's what I call it. That's why I call it Smexy Sunday. Anytime it's sexy, I call it Smexy. I either call it hot or Smexy. Two things that are like the main description of that kind of stuff. Don't know why, it just is. I don't know where I actually got that from. It was one of my friends. I think it might have been Desiree. Damn it, Desiree. You and your stupid memes. She also sells milk. Not milk, milk. So I always just go, hey, how do you milk a cow? She goes, you pull on the titties. I'm like, you got it. Oh, utterly embarrassing. Oh, kill me. Oh, God, my phone's at low battery. Oh, no. Anyways. Oh god, I got 15% on. Anyways, I'm gonna finish up the story quickly. Basically what we chose to do was we ended up going a few months later, by the way. I had a friend's birthday party, was like a sleepover, and this friend was not someone from school, so my parents really didn't have to worry about me leaving with like a friend to go anywhere. Because by the way, my friends were pretty much troublemakers back then. But it was a group from, it was like a bunch of people from a group that I used to go to for mental illnesses. Basically, we would just go out into the community and do something. We always got Wegmans food. It was so good. Like the buffet area. God, that food is so good. We had to get like under $8, but it was so much food for me back then. I love Chinese food from Wegmans. Well, from Wegmans. I love Wegmans Chinese food. I love Chinese food in general, but that's not the point. Sesame seed chicken. Give me some. I love you, man. I love you. By the way, anyone who gives me sesame seed chicken, I owe you a blood oath. Like, I am now your servant kind of thing. No, don't. I'm only Jess's servant. Ain't that right, Invisible Jess? Who's not home yet. Should have been home like an hour ago. Oh, only like 30 minutes ago. Whatever. Anyways, so it ended up where I got an invitation in the mail. I was going to go see a friend, and I found out that my friend's house was probably like a 20-minute run, 20-minute jog from this girl's house. I keep almost saying her name. I will tell you it starts with a B. If you guys don't know who it is, good, because you never grew up with me. Haha. Anyone who actually knew her probably doesn't even know. Well, no, you might know about her. The one who introduced me to her may know about her because they were the only other person who knew she was French, and there were no other French people in my school. So, if she told anyone else, then they would know. Anyways, but she ended up basically living like 20 minutes away of like a jog. And I told my friends, since it was a sleepover, we were there overnight, first of all, I told her to let her parents know that a friend would be coming over. And her parents were really cool about it, by the way. She was always goody two-shoes when it came to being around her parents. Little did they know she was actually pretty much a slut. And I will admit, it's not a bad thing to be a slut. It is not. However, it can be seen as a bad thing if you're talking about being raised in a Christian family like me. I honestly don't give a fuck. I was a slut, to be honest. I mean, I refused to admit it, even though I just kind of admitted it. Fuck! I admitted it! Dang it! Yeah, I'm a slut. I'll admit it. I'm a man whore. Who cares? But anyways, we ended up sleeping, all my friends ended up going to sleep, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm just gonna go for a quick jog outside. Let me know, if anything happens. Like, call my flip phone. I had a track one at the time. Crappy phone, who cares? Like, call me if anything happens, or if you guys need me back here at a certain time. I'm just gonna go take a jog outside, because it was nice weather out. It was like, probably like before school graduates, like that kind of weather where it's like really warm, but at the same time, it's like kind of cool out, like at night. It's really pleasant to go jogging for. By the way, I know I go jogging at midnight some of the time. Speaking of which, I might go tonight, actually. I might do a vlog when actually, I don't know if I can. Too dark. I might not be able to see me. Actually, no, it's raining. You know what? I'll do it. I'll go for a jog tonight if I remember. But anyways, I might take you guys on the trip, except for my phone will get extremely wet, and I don't want that to happen, so I'll put it in a plastic bag. I don't know. But anyway, I don't actually have any plastic bags. Oh, fuck. Anyways, so I ended up taking a jog to her house. And this is the funniest part, was her parents were just like, okay. Like, they knew I was coming over. They didn't care. By the way, I will admit, they asked her, is it a guy or a girl? Or is it one of your friends from school? And she goes, yeah. Is it a guy or a girl? And she goes, it's a guy. And they're like, okay, just wanted to know. And they let me come over. First of all, parents, never let your kid invite guys over if they're. I mean, never let a kid invite the opposite gender over when they're at that age, because you know what's going to happen. Even if they're goody two shoes, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Parents, I can guarantee there's stuff you don't know about your child. They could be a murderer for all you know. They're not gonna murder. Hope. I hope. Keyword hope. You know. But anyways, I ended up sleeping at her place. Or not sleeping at her place, but I ended up sleeping with her at her place, with her being full on dom mode. And I've never, like, back then I really wasn't I wasn't a masochist as much as I am now. Like, nowadays, felt like a beating like a boss. Back then I was kind of like, I could take a beating. I won't exactly like it as much as I will now, but I would enjoy it. I literally just remember me having a red hand mark on my lower thigh, like really low thigh. And I was gonna wear shorts that night for pajamas, and I ended up just wearing my jeans and everything to bed because I'm like, I don't want them to see this mark. No, I was not out jogging. But I ended up basically, it's like at 9 o'clock at night, I went out to her place. Like I was there at 9, and her parents knew, and they let me in and everything. I went up to her room, and I was just like gonna hang out for a few hours. And I came back, by the way, at like 10:30 at night to my friend's house for the sleepover. No one questioned it. Nobody questioned it. You really think an overweight guy back then was gonna go jogging for an hour and a half? I mean, maybe they were questioning it internally, but anyways, I thought it was funny. But anyways, she went full Dom mode. She was literally like complete slapping and everything. God, Spanx are delicious. Anyways, not the clothing Spanx. Those are cool too, but like, those kind of things. Ass slaps, as I call them. Ass slaps. Anyways, and then this was not the only time, by the way. Back when I was in high school, there was like this thing where if you went on the bus, if you would, basically, you can invite someone over to your house and the bus driver would take them to your stop. But the thing was, if that happened, you would have to get permission from your parents to get a signed note in order for them to allow that person to go to someone else's house. And I just remember having her sign the same thing, saying that she can go to my house. My parents were going to be there and everything. And I remember back then I had a dog named Adidas, a giant black lab, who barked at me whenever I got home. But if someone was with me, she would bark like there was no end. She would be at the window just like, it was adorable. She was a big lap dog, but whatever. Cool, I can make this work. Anyways, she ended up coming over to my house. She took the bus with me, and I told her, go to the other end of the barn. Like, around the back of the barn, there's a little area where there's a bunch of vehicles. No, I'm going to get into that in a second. You just wait over there for me until I get back. And by the way, I did jog normally when I got home at that time. I would always go out jogging right afterwards. And then basically, I went inside, dropped off my bag and everything, which by the way, was a huge thud whenever I would drop multiple textbooks. And I told my mom, like, hey, I'm gonna go out for a jog, okay? And they go, okay. I went out around back of the barn, and there are vehicles, by the way. My dad has a huge barn where he stores people's boats, RVs, trailers, all that stuff, even vans and stuff like cars and all that, for like a little bit of extra cash. So he'll be a storage place for people's vehicles and just get paid for it. So it was a nice way to make extra cash with a giant barn that has way too much space. And we kind of broke the law. We ended up using a Stanley Steamer cleaning van to fuck. We fucked inside of a Stanley Steamer cleaning van. I still think it's hilarious because it's breaking the law by making a mess inside of a van that's meant for cleaning. Anyways, I still have pictures of that van, by the way. If anyone wants to see those pictures, not after the Smex. No, it was like the van itself. I had pictures of because I always thought it was hilarious how there's a Stanley Steamer van. By the way, I had permission to take the photos. There was no license plates or anything involved, so I just thought it was cool that we had a Stanley Steamer van in our driveway of our barn. I just thought it was funny. And then basically we fucked in the back of a van. And her parents were gonna pick her up maybe like an hour after she got back, after she got to my place. And this is the thing: her parents were normally off at work anyways, so instead of them having to transport her to our house, that's the excuse she used to take the bus with me. And they would just pick her up when they're done with work, because normally they would be back on the way back from work. The dad would be back on the way back from work around the time the buses left the school to drop everyone off. But normally when she would get home, the mom would be back for like maybe an hour or so from when you would normally get dropped off at home. So I just told her, let your mom know that she can come pick you up whenever she's done with work, because that's on the way anyways. And so she picked her up about an hour after she was dropped off at my place. And oh boy, I remember going back into my parents' house and just being like, hey guys, I'm back. I was completely out of breath, by the way. By the way, back then my stamina was boom. I could go forever. No, I'm kidding. But I could go for a long time. Not forever, but a long time. Probably about 20 minutes straight, which is a long time for some guys. especially when that was like the actual fucking part. There was also a bunch of slapping and all that, which, by the way, there may or may not have been a cemetery maintenance man working like 50 feet away from us when we were fucking. So we might have heard a few slaps. By the way, I will admit, I'm a kinky lad. Like, I have a lot of kinks. I have a lot of fucking kinks. But that was one of them. Ass slaps are huge for me. Anyways, moving on. Anyways, so basically what happened was we fucked in the back of a van. I went back to my parents' house and I'm like completely out of breath. I'm like, that was one hell of a jog. Sweating and everything. And my parents go, well, at least you burned some calories. I'm like, oh boy, did I burn some calories. 3 or 4 weeks later, we did it again. Same exact trick, except for this time, the first time, by the way, my dog did not bark a lot because she didn't see the person get off the bus, I guess. I guess she might have actually been in the back room sleeping at the time, I think. I don't even remember. But she wasn't at the window when I got home. The second time, she was at that window, ready for us. And I went inside, dropped off my bag, I'm like, hey Adidas, how you doing? Hey Addie. And I started like giving her the butt rubs, as I call it. She basically would lay down and put her butt up in the air, and I'd just scratch above her tail, and she would love it. And then she'd calm down, and she'd jump up at my mom and tackle her as a giant black lap dog. She basically was a lap dog at that point. But I did the second time, and then a few years later, I'm very sorry to say, actually it was right after graduation, I never really saw her again, because I moved out to the city, city of Rochester, rather than East Rochester. I moved actually into the city, and then I moved out to where I am now, which is basically in Gates, and she still lives in Fairport, technically. It's like, I think it's actually in Fairport. My house was on the edge of Fairport and not Glory Drive, oh god, that's my road. Fairport and Penfield, it was kind of like on the border, so it was Fairport mailing address with Penfield District. Her house was actually in Fairport, but she went to Penfield School. But yeah, we had sex 3 times, and then I was just like, by that point we had graduated and we kind of just split up. And I was really upset about this, because we were really close as friends, but it ended up basically breaking off, because we couldn't be together. Graduation happens, people move apart, all that stuff. I'm going to try and find her Twitter page. I said I was going to do it in the first recording. I never got to find it because I never looked. But I will see if I can find her. You guys won't care about it because you're not going to message her. You better not message her. I don't even know if she has Twitter anymore. She used to have it, but whatever. I don't even remember what her name was. I'm just going to Google or Twitter search her name. I'm just going to Google search. That'd be a bit creepy. Google search. Fuck. I almost said her name. I almost said Ballora. Her name's not Ballora. I was thinking of the Five Nights at Freddy's Ballora. Go look up Ballora Fazbear. Best character, best girlfriend I've ever had. I'm kidding. Her name's not Ballora. It does start with B, but it's not Ballora. Actually, it is pretty similar to Ballora. If you guys can figure out what it is, I'll give you a cookie. That's imaginary. You'll never guess what it is because no one ever guesses it. Anyways, I'm gonna end this video here. That was my kinky exchange with a girl who, God, she was a complete slut at that point. And I will admit, before I end this video, oh God, I gotta quick this up. The reason why she wasn't good with relationships is because same reason as me. We both get very overloaded very quickly, and we tend to realize after it's too late. So for me, I realize it way too late in relationships, and then I kind of like take it out on someone, or like I get into this point where I can't even communicate well. That's why Jess and I are a perfect pair, because she's able to understand me because I've known her longer than anyone else I know. And she's able to kind of notice it and kind of back off.